Good evening, dear audience. Tonight, we step into a warm kitchen, a place where ordinary ingredients become bridges, and a simmering pot of soup carries the quiet power to soften the sharpest edges of the past. Steam curls upward to the ceiling, filling the room with a haze of comfort, as three people lean toward the bubbling broth. And somewhere between the scent of garlic and ginger, a question rises like the steam itself. Can a shared meal transform strangers into family, or worries into trust? Can a simple supper be the beginning of something lasting? The call. It all began with a phone call, part invitation, part challenge. Would you like to come over tonight? James's mother asked, her voice even, calm. I'll make your favorite dish. Too Deep pressed the phone to her ear and looked out into the gray afternoon. A mist hung low over the city, and the light was thin, almost metallic. A flutter of unease stirred in her chest, not unlike raindrops tapping against a window. The words sounded gentle, almost tender, but beneath them was something unspoken, something fragile. After everything, the silence, the exhaustion, the long days that felt like walking across thin ice, this invitation was not small. It felt like a door being unlatched from the inside. I'd love to, she said at last. And she meant it. James, standing in the doorway, smiled when she ended the call. She invited you? He asked. Yes, she said she'd make your favorite dish, James noted. His voice carried an unguarded relief. That's her way of saying she wants to understand you better. He reached for her hand. And maybe feed you too much along the way. She let him hold on. The arrival. A light drizzle clung to their hair as they walked to the car. The city lay hushed, the kind of silence that makes you aware of your own breath. James's fingers tightened around hers, an anchor. She squeezed back. By the time they reached his mother's neat little house, modest, with a small garden at the back, the rain had softened into whispers. The porch light glowed amber. Before they could even knock, the door opened. You're here, his mother said, and her eyes lit up, not with politeness, but with genuine welcome. She wore a cardigan with sleeves rolled up, an image of brisk efficiency. Calm, steady, sometimes mistaken for coldness. But tonight, the air around her felt warmer. Come in, she said. The broth has already started. We'll cook together. Inside the kitchen. The kitchen was small but open, generous in spirit. A pot murmured on the stove, releasing coils of steam that fogged the window over the sink. The air smelled of bones simmering down, star anise, and a whisper of ginger. On the counter lay bundles of greens tied with twine, a bright bowl of herbs, scallions standing upright like brushes in a jar, and a slim recipe notebook left open near the cutting board. A gray cat padded across the room, a shadow with long legs, before curling beneath a chair, tail flicking in judgment. Somewhere, a kettle began to whistle softly. Apron, James's mother said, handing Two Deep a navy apron with pale stripes. It's easier to talk when our hands are busy. The gesture carried a curious formality, a wordless welcome. You belong here, without needing to say it aloud. James slipped his keys into a porcelain bowl and leaned against the doorframe, watching the two women negotiate their space in the quiet choreography of a kitchen. Cooking together. What are we making? Two Deep asked. 3 dishes, James's mother replied. The soup you like, clear broth, fragrant. Some fresh greens from the garden. And a small dessert from the oven. She paused, shooting James a conspiratorial smile. Dessert is usually for him alone. True, James teased. Not tonight, she countered. It's time to learn new habits. The soup came first. When she lifted the lid, the room filled with warmth that seemed to seep into the chest, comforting in its depth. She held out a spoon. Taste. Both women did, eyes half closed. Lovely, she murmured. Then, firmer. But it needs more salt. She passed the dish across the counter. Go on. It was only a pinch of salt, 2 fingers, a small shake, a stir, but it felt larger than that. A transfer of trust, a bridge spanning an unspoken distance. James grinned at the doorway, as if watching foundations being laid in real time. Outside, rain thickened. The lights flickered once, twice, then dimmed as thunder rolled. Oh dear, his mother said, unruffled. She reached for a small lamp in a drawer, switched it on, then lit a candle for good measure. We'll keep cooking. Storms come and go. Two Deep smiled at the calm in her tone. She had spent too long bracing for storms, counting seconds between lightning and thunder. Perhaps it was time to cook through one instead. The garden ritual. The greens were next. James's mother led them to the back door, pointing out rows of mint, basil, coriander, still jeweled with raindrops. They stood together under a single umbrella, clipping fragrant sprigs. I like to grow what I can, she said softly. It reminds me that good things take time, watering, waiting, a little worry, then one morning they're just there. Two Deep twirled a mint sprig between her fingers. I needed to hear that. So did I, James said quietly from behind them. Back inside, they rinsed the greens, shaking off droplets. His mother showed how to slice without bruising the leaves. Gentle, she explained. A knife can be a broom if you let it. When the herbs hissed against the hot pan, the kitchen bloomed with warmth. Even the cat stretched out beneath the table, conceding to the comfort, recipes, confessions, and small truths. They sat a while with the recipe book open between them. Its edges were stained, pages spotted with oil, handwriting neat but practical. Scribbled notes in the margins marked lived experience: less sugar in summer. James likes more lime. Taste twice before salting. May I? Too Deep asked, fingers brushing the page. Please, came the reply. Her voice was different now, softer, more assured. I used to think recipes were rules, she said. Now I see them as letters to your future self. Reminders of how to comfort when you've forgotten. The dessert was simple: butter, sugar, eggs, flour. She folded the mixture with practiced hands, lifted the bowl to inhale the vanilla. James was drafted in to butter the baking dish, more enthusiasm than precision, drawing laughter from both women. The cake slid into the oven. The kitchen exhaled. Words between the silences. Conversations meandered like a river finding its way around stones. No declarations, no confrontations. Just a flow, punctuated by chopping, stirring, turning pages. At one point, his mother confessed, eyes fixed on the pot, I worry that love makes us fragile. That I'm not enough. Not because of you, but because fear makes us small. James leaned forward, elbows on knees. And I worry that I'll disappoint both of you, he admitted. But I know what I want: this room, this table, all of us here together. His mother lifted another ladle of broth. There, she said simply. The oven chimed. The cake was ready. A quiet offering. She stepped away briefly, returning with a small cloth bundle. Unwrapping it revealed a pair of wooden chopsticks, polished by years of use. These were mine when I first cooked for myself, she said. I used them for many years. I'd like you to keep them. No more words. None were needed. Too Deep placed her hand over them, voice steady. Thank you. The table. They set the table: soup bowls, small plates of herbs and chilies, greens bright on a dish, dessert still warm in the oven. His mother pulled another chair close enough that knees might touch. The broth was clear, honest, like a truth retold simply. The greens hummed with freshness. Even the cat, feigning indifference, lingered near Too Deep's chair. Outside, the rain softened into silence. They spoke of small things: markets, neighbors, a door newly painted yellow. Songs that sound better while cooking. Ordinary talk, but precious in its ordinariness. When dessert arrived, golden at the edges, pale at the center, James teased, "You're really sharing this?" "Of course," his mother replied, feigning outrage. "Some recipes are meant to grow." That's how families grow too. The aftertaste. They ate slowly. The sweetness was humble, unpretentious, but deeply comforting. Safety could taste like this, Too Deep thought. Afterwards came the quiet rhythm of cleaning, washing, drying, folding leftovers into labeled boxes. Care expressed in the details. At last, his mother folded the apron and pressed it back into Too Deep's hands. "Keep it," she said. "So you won't need to borrow next time." "Next time," Too Deep echoed, savoring the phrase. The departure. On the porch, the rain had thinned to silver mist. James's mother brushed his collar, patted his shoulder. "Drive carefully. And if you go to the market tomorrow, I'll meet you there. They'll have fresh bones for broth." An invitation disguised as an errand. Affection tucked inside practicality. "I'd like that," Too Deep said. They left. James glanced back once at the kitchen light, the quiet bowls, the recipe book still open as if awaiting another note. "Are you well, Mom?" he asked as they walked. "Better," she said, surprised at her own honesty. "I didn't know a meal could do that." "I didn't either," James replied. But perhaps his mother had known all along. Closing. Driving home under a sky scrubbed clean, Too Deep rested the chopsticks on her lap, one hand always on them as though holding onto a new word she had just learned. And in the quiet house behind them, the cat resumed its patrol, while the recipe book lay open, waiting for someone to add the next reminder. Tonight, we cooked in a storm. Taste twice. Trust often.